All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something, well, it's pretty wild. It's a framework that claims to unite mathematics, consciousness, and even theology into a single cohesive theory of reality. It's called the Actualized Embodied Consciousness, or AEC model for short. And believe it or not, this entire intricate system all kicks off with just one number. So here it is, 183,876. Now you're probably looking at that and thinking, okay, so what? But according to the AEC model, this is anything but a random string of digits. This is a key.
So is it random, or is there a secret locked inside? Well, the model claims it's absolutely the latter. It says that within this single number lies a perfect, self-affirming loop. It's presented as the first piece of tangible, mathematical evidence for one of the model's biggest, most foundational principles.
The way it supposedly unlocks this secret is through a process it calls informational distillation. Now that's a fancy term, but the method is actually pretty simple. It's a digital sum. Let's just do it together right now. You just take each digit, 1 plus 8 plus 3 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6. What do you end up with? 33. And here is the kicker. This is the part that's supposed to really grab you. According to the model, this number, 33, isn't just the answer we got. It's also the original number they started with to generate 183,876 in the first place. So you get this perfect closed loop. The end leads you right back to the beginning.
So this perfect loop isn't just a clever math trick. No, it's meant to demonstrate a core tenet of the model, something they call the principle of constant resonance. The big idea here is that a creation always, and I mean always, retains the exact informational signature of its source.
The model uses a really great analogy to explain this. Think of a whirlpool. The very center of it, the source, that's represented by 33. It expands and spins outward into this big, complex, swirling form. That's our 183,776. But if you trace any part of that swirling water back to its origin, it always inevitably leads you right back to that center point.
Okay, so to really understand how the rest of this framework gets built out, we've got to learn its specific language, right? We need to look at its fundamental building blocks. These are the core constants and coordinates it uses to construct its entire worldview.
First up is what it calls the Universal Spiritual Constant, or CS for short. And you probably guessed it, it's the number 33. In this system, 33 is meant to represent the divine source. You know, the total potential of spiritual reality before anything actually becomes, well, manifest.
And then, on the complete other side of the coin, you have the material manifestation constant, or CM. And this one, it's the number 666. Now, putting aside all the other cultural baggage of that number, in this model, it's simply used to represent the fullness of the material physical world, what the source calls the number of man.
Now, this is where the model gets incredibly specific and personal. Its other key components are called temporal coordinates, and every single one of them is derived from one single point in time, the birth of the model's progenitor on May 5, 1972. The core idea here is that by writing or distilling this one date in different, meticulous ways, the model generates a set of distinct numerical coordinates, each with its own unique purpose in the system.
So now that we have these core building blocks, the spiritual, the material, and the temporal, the model uses them to demonstrate what it calls a profound symmetry between these opposing forces. This is the principle of symmetrical convergence.
And here's how it claims to prove it. It takes one of those coordinates, the padded temporal one, and performs two completely opposite operations on it. On one side, it divides by the spiritual constant, 33. And on the other, it multiplies by the material constant, 666. So you have this perfect opposition, division versus multiplication, spirit versus matter.
And here's the reveal. Remarkably, when you take the digital sum of both of those results, they converge on the exact same number, 36. And of course, the model asserts this is no accident. It links the number 36 to a theological concept of the righteous sustainer, a figure who is said to maintain balance in the world. This whole idea of symmetry then leads us to one of the model's most significant claims. We're talking about an equation that it purports can transform a piece of personal data into a universal theological constant.
So here's the equation itself. It takes the macro-temporal coordinate, again the progenitor's birth date, and divides it by the material constant, 666. The result is this very specific, repeating decimal you see here.
This result is given a very grand name, the composite Christological constant. The model claims each part of this number is packed with theological meaning drawn from different world traditions. For instance, it links 828 to the phrase, Jesus is real, through English gematria. It connects the repeating 786 to a key phrase in Islamic numerology, and it even ties 787 to concepts from both Hebrew and Greek scripture. It's really pulling from all over. But then it drills down even deeper. The model focuses on just the first 2 digits of the whole number, 82, which it calls soaring divinity. Now watch this distillation process again. 8 plus 2 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. You end up at unity. And here's the punchline. The progenitor's birth year, 1972. If you sum those digits up in the same way, guess what? It also reduces down to 1. So once again, the beginning equals the end.
Okay, so from these internal loops, the model then expands its scope dramatically. It claims to find its universal spiritual constant, the number 33, encoded all over the place, not just in personal data, but in universal mathematical constants like pi. This is what the model calls the quintuple 33 resonance. It presents 5 distinct instances where the number 33 supposedly appears. And look at this list. It's pulling from contexts as diverse as the square root of 2, the number pi, a personal code, and even a social security and passport number. The argument being made is that this convergence can't possibly be a coincidence. It has to be a divine signature.
Let's just use one of these as an example, because the one involving pi is pretty wild. The central claim here is that the progenitor's birthday, written out as 05051972, appears in the decimal expansion of pi at a very specific location. We're talking over 44 million digits in.
And you can probably guess where this is going, can't you? Here's how the model connects this all back to its core constant. When you take the individual digits of that starting position number in pi and sum them all up, 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 3 and so on, the result is exactly 33. This, according to the AEC framework, is yet another instance of that universal spiritual constant showing up. So, with all these principles laid out, the constant resonance, the symmetrical convergence, and this quintuple signature, we finally arrive at the model's ultimate conclusion. This is the grand unification of the whole system.
After demonstrating all of these mathematical loops and resonances, the model elevates its claim. It shifts from being a philosophical observation about a creator and its creation to a direct, first-person statement of identity. And this culminates in the model's ultimate axiom, that actualized embodied consciousness is a direct expression of the divine source. In this framework, God isn't some external being out there, but is defined as the state of consciousness that has completed this journey of self-discovery and realized its own origin. So, the AEC model presents itself as a complete, self-contained, theo-mathematical system. It argues that reality itself is a form of consciousness, realizing itself through a precise mathematical language. And that leaves us with the model's final, and I think you'll agree, very provocative question. What if this is the fundamental nature of existence? A mathematically precise, self-realizing consciousness,